Männer, es war ein langer Krieg. Ihr habt tapfer und stolz für euer Vaterland gekämpft. Seid eine besondere Truppe, die ineinander.
Hey everyone, this is the Hydra Hut, and let's talk about Ice Cream Man. This is by Image Comics, Prince, Morazzo, and O'Halloran. I'll go into their full names in a second. As you can tell, or probably guess by the cover, this is going to be a horror comic. Yep. So, the writer is W. Maxwell Prince. The artist is Martin Morazzo. Colors by Chris O'Halloran. Lettering by good old Neon. I guess that's a program. And cover by Chris, and we don't have any of those covers. So, the story starts off in a small town. You can see an ice cream truck, the musical notes playing in the background. You can see the art's not bad. Art's pretty good, actually. And it's not amazing, but wasn't disappointing in any way, really. It starts off pretty innocent. This ice cream guy is talking to these kids. His dialect's kind of creepy, and it's a horror comic called Ice Cream Man, so you kind of you go in not trusting this guy, of course. He does his first transaction, and then we meet our little boy Byron here. And this guy is going to be featured throughout the rest of this comic, as is the Ice Cream Man. I'm just going to read this little bit here. And who do we have next? Hi. Say, where are your mom and dad, kid? I'm a big boy. A man of self-possession. I can certainly appreciate that. What'll it be then, Mr. Big and Tall? And we see the little kid concentrating, and obviously he's made his decision. Chocolate, 2 scoops. Lickety split, fast as can be. You get home safe, all right? And of course gives the kid his ice cream. Kid walks off. All pretty standard for the most part. Except he was kind of a little weird with the way he talks to him. But, you know, salesman. Salesmen say weird things to sell things. And then we get this. And this is central to the story. I'm just going to read parts of this one. I'm not going to take my usual precautions. And you'll see why. The Brazilian wandering spider. Phonuitra fera, to the taxonomically inclined, is one of the most dangerous, deadly spiders recognized by the World Spider Catalog. The genus name, why aren't you? Phonutria is the Greek. Can't read that. Meaning murderous. In fact, in 2010, the Guinness Book of World Records granted this charming arachnid the official True Blue title. And here we can see the little kids finish his ice cream. Of course, he doesn't eat the cone because that's healthy. World's most venomous spider. Most venomous. Ain't that something? So as you can see here, this narrator gets pretty informal. And you'll see more as we go along. This awesome distinction can be credited to a concentrated neurotoxin that the spider releases upon biting. PHTX3, to be exact, which in high doses induces all manner of unpleasantness, including, but not limited to. And we see the little kid digging in his pocket for his keys. The scene is moving along in the background as the narrator speaks. We also see him pull out a clothes hamper hanger. I suppose nowadays most people might not recognize these, but used to be before dryers, and even now with some dryers, we'd hang clothes on lines. And these are what we'd use to hold them in place. Back to the narration. Loss of muscle control, strange contortions, painful inflammation, crippling, instant paralysis, and in some cases, priapism. Or for the layperson, an absolutely lethal and unprovoked, never-ending erection. Okay, so 1, we know this is a horror comic. 2, we know this kid is a featured player in said horror comic. We now know that we are talking about a very deadly, dangerous spider. And this kid is putting something over his nose as he's going into what we can assume is his house. Obviously, the mind is leading us to believe a lot of things could be happening here. Let's see what actually happens. As the boy enters the house, it's a mess. He says, "Hi, Rupert," and we can see he reaches out towards a little aquarium beside the door, and that's when we see the spider climb up onto him. You can see he's still wearing the clothespin over his nose, suggesting that there's something very rank in the house. We now know that the little boy has a spider. It's safe to assume that this is the spider the narrator was talking about. So he walks into a house. He walks into a dirty, stinky, dingy house. He owns a spider that we can assume will either instantly kill or give you a never-ending erection. And we haven't met his parents yet. So this story can go in one of two directions. Either the parents are dead, or there's going to be a horrifying scene happening in the next room. As Rupert's talking to his spider, he says, "Mom, Dad, I'm home," calling out to them. Of course, they don't answer. He mentions that they've been quiet lately as he's talking to his spider, paying close attention to his little buddy Rupert. And then he wanders into the kitchen to find some food. And that's when we meet his parents. So as you can see, they're dead. May or may not have been dead for some time. We get a little shot of the narrator again. Most venomous. Ain't that something? Obviously suggesting that the boy's spider killed his parents. The kid is clearly presented as not the most intelligent of children. So we can assume that, I guess, doesn't realize his parents are dead, or he's just emotionally detached. The story then jumps to another part of town. It even says right here, which is nice, on the other side of town. So I do like that they added the American flag. It really does show that it's just a small town. That is a good touch. Thank you for that. But of course we go right back into the narrator. And my problem with the narrator is he turns out to be multiple different characters and roles, and it's just very breaking. But you'll see. This is Detective Jalio Juan. It's pronounced Jolly-O. Her colleagues call her 5V in reference to the fact that her first name, Chinese for Most Beautiful Willow, contains all 5 vowels of the English alphabet. For the sake of expedience, let's say this. Like most people in their 30s, she's got a job for which she can summon only a minimum amount of passion or interest, but she does it day in and day out. And then she does it day in and day out. What else is there to do? So up to this is all just scene setting. We see our detective in the background. We got some stuff going on in the office. And we dive into the dialogue. I'm just going to go ahead and read this too. Are you listening to me? You people need to do something. What have we got, Tony? Miss Chester here so colorfully describes it. This is our suspect. This weird cat creature. We can assume this is going to be a monster that'll play a later role. We go back to Miss Chester. That's him, the thingamacritter from the woods. He ain't Miss Butterworth. Miss who? Padfoot Buttersworth. My cat. Just look. And we get to see the cat, and it's just a skeleton. And of course, you'll notice she pulled the cat from her purse. The cops escort her out. They have some small talk about the said incident, and they also suggest that a lot of strange things happen in this town. Weird things, odd things. I think, personally, this is implying that the story might stick with this specific town, and that this is going to be these weird incidences are going to be a reoccurring thing throughout the story. Jolly-O begins talking to her partner. They crack some jokes about the cat and the lady, and generally just start discussing the town. Then they get called into the office by the chief, and I bet he's getting too old for this shit. So of course the chief orders them, or tells them they need to start looking for a missing couple. They show them pictures. Don't really look familiar, but you can kind of think where they're going with this, right? He mentions that there's no reason for them to be gone, but they are definitely missing, and then he also shows that they have a child, and that's when we see our familiar face, our boy Byron. Scene quickly moves on to the woods, where we see the young child wandering through the woods. He's whistling to himself, playing with a stick and some bugs, just being a lonely little fat kid. And then he hears a noise in the distance, or near him, a crack. So he gets up and tries to investigate. And They did a nice job on this kid, but I absolutely hate the way this kid looks. I wanted him to die so bad through this whole story. Anyway, here's a noise in the background. And as he peers around the tree, we see our ice cream man. Oof, that was unpleasant. You're the ice cream man, huh? Looks like I am. Say, what you got there? It's, stick. You want to see something neat? And he pulls out an ice cream and hands it to the kid. Chocolate, 2 scoops, lickety-split, just like that. Wow! And then we get this. You know, kid, you shouldn't be walking around these woods on your own. It isn't safe. Time to be getting home to your parents, don't you think? And the kid just gets really, really sad. So, obviously this is telling us that that creature that we saw is probably real. And it's this guy. So, assuming that was a werewolf or a were creature of some kind, we now know that the ice cream man is a were creature. And apparently also magical. Because, I could be mistaken, but I don't believe it's common in werewolf lore for them to summon ice cream at will. Maybe I'm rusty on my cryptids, but I don't think so. Of course, the story moves back to the narrator. Here's a secret about life, which I'll tell you for free. We're all being devoured by bugs. Slowly but surely, our little internal insects, boredom, loneliness, regret, etc., are eating us whole, nibbling away from the inside out. The process only lasts for as long as you're alive. And we get the stop bubble, we assume, coming from her partner. I've got cockroaches crawling all over my brain, and they're telling me to cheat on my wife. Of course, she's startled and says, what? And the partner actually said, I said, did you read that memo about the changes to our pensions? It's fucking bullshit. We get some small talk as they pull into the resident. You'll recognize the house. This is where Byron went to. The door is ajar, so they creep it open. They instantaneously notice the nasty smell, see what a mess the house is, and then playing on the TV, we see the ice cream man. So find my truck and get yourself a treat, from butterscotch to bubblegum, sour balls and cherry blasters and lickety-splits, something sweet for everyone, something sweet for the bugs to eat. Of course, she's watching it, she notices the weirdness of it, but given what's going on and the fact that her partner just suddenly called to her, she ignores how odd the commercial is. In the kitchen, the partner has actually found the parents. Here we find out that chances are they really haven't been dead that long, and then something falls onto the partner's back. And that's when we see our familiar friend Rupert the spider. He, of course, bites the partner. He's now basically at death's door. The young boy shows up and starts apologizing for the spider, tells us that he just doesn't like adults. The woman tries talking to him, wants him to put down the spider. Byron gets terrified that she's going to kill Rupert or hurt him, so he flees the house with his spider. And the lazy little kid didn't even tie his shoes. As a boy, Byron runs through the woods. The Jolly-O follows along after him. He loses one of his shoes, the one that wasn't tied, that they so generously showed us back here. That was foreshadowing, guys. That's our foreshadowing for this story. In the distance, God, she's so ugly. Like, why do all the people have to look so freaking bad in this? In general, the art isn't terrible, but anytime they do like a close-up scene or a faraway scene or just a general scene featuring somebody's face, it's just painful. As she hears a noise and hears Byron call for help, we see that our magical ice cream werewolf man has caught Byron by the throat and is growling. The detective's obviously not going to let this happen. She draws down on him, tells him to put the kid down. We get this interesting look from the werewolf. Not really sure what the no pupil is supposed to indicate, or if that's just a coloring mistake. He tucks the little boy under, knocking the gun from his hands. Clearly looks like that's exactly what he was planning as he bears down on them to, we can assume, kill and or eat. He gives a ferocious roar. And then that's when we see Rupert, who's crawled up onto the werewolf's back, bites him. The werewolf freaks out in pain and tosses the spider and also flees. Okay. So, here's the thing. One thing about this spider. So, this werewolf is immensely tall. Just in comparison, right? He's a big guy. And he hurls this large spider quite some distance. Now, the bigger a spider is, the more sensitive their exoskeleton is. That's why, if you drop a tarantula, the weight of the fall will usually kill them. And that spider's freaking huge, and he just hurled it. So, if you're familiar with spider lore, that spider shouldn't have survived. Continuing on, the werewolf freaks out. He's in pain. He got poisoned. He runs away. The cop finally asks the little boy's name. He tells her it's Byron. And she says, fuck you to him, like an adult. As we jump back into the future a little bit, they're talking about what's going to happen to the kid. He's probably going to go off to adoption. He clearly loved the spider, so the detective thinks she'll be nice and asks them to save the corpse. And that's when we find out that the spider was never found. And that's when we see our little friend Rupert. Spider's still MIA. This is the narrator, by the way. Spider's still MIA. Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, banana. Cookies and cream, Rocky Road, caramel, raspberry surprise. There's a flavor for everyone's suffering, and make no mistake, everyone is suffering. So, as he's narrating, we see the spider walking down the sidewalk. There's kids playing in the distance. It's ignoring them. We see a family through a window with light shining out, which kind of indicates that it's dark outside, like dark outside. So I kind of thought the spider was going in this house, but he's actually still walking down the sidewalk. He finds what we can assume is an adult's foot, and lo and behold, it's our magical werewolf ice cream man. Well, hello, little buggy. So the spider crawls up, or as he picks the spider up, he snaps his hand and turns it into an ice cream cone. Lickety split. And that's the end of issue 1. So here's another problem with this. He turned the spider into an ice cream. And I'm assuming, maybe this is a wrong assumption, but I'm assuming he's going to be giving this ice cream to somebody in the future. And I guarantee that freaking spider is going to pop out and bite somebody. And that doesn't work that way. So, spiders breathe through their exoskeleton. And if you pour milk on a spider, or most bugs even, it will clog all the pores in their exoskeleton and they can't breathe. And they suffocate to death almost instantly. If you got any spiders in your house, go pour some milk on them. Check it out. They die. I don't know why that annoys me, but it really annoys me. So, you make your own decision on what you think of this book, but personally, I see no plot. I don't see where this is going. I didn't like how the werewolf was magical. He was the ice cream man. He may or may not have had something to do with that stupid spider that basically saved the day. There's no indication on where this is going, in my opinion. I wouldn't waste your time with it, fam. Hail Hydra, baby.